Good afternoon. What's your name?
Crystal,
Crystal, and where are you from?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Do you mind telling us your age?
Sure, 23.
Crystal from Brooklyn, 23.
Yes.
Have you ever been in love?
Yes.
Are you currently in love?
Yes.
With who?
My husband.
Your husband? Is this your baby?
Yes.
Hey. Is this the new love of your life?
Most definitely. More important than anything else.
More important than anything else?
Without a doubt.
And what's the difference between the kind of love you feel for the father of the child and the kind of love that you feel for the child? What's the difference?
I guess, especially being he's so young, there's no conditions on the love of my son. But because we're human and that's how we are, no matter how hard we try, there's always conditions on our love with the people in our life. Because you have, dealt with them and done things with them and had to go through things with them, whatever those things may be. So it puts conditions. And right now, there's no conditions. It's just a beautiful little boy experiencing the world for the first time, and I'm trying to be along for the ride and enjoy it with him.
So you put no expectations on the child, but you do have expectations for...
I have expectations for my son. It's just different because you're like a little more understanding, I think. But I'm stern, I'm strict, and I do expect from him. But it's just like it's a much more powerful. It's like more powerful in a sense. I don't know, because if you're asking me my personal experience, I've been through a lot, and right now, even me and my husband are trying to work things out. Things aren't perfect by no means, and everybody says, well, what's the difference between I love you and I'm in love with you? And that's kind of where we're at, because I know I love him, and I just want to feel that other love, the one that everybody joneses for and chases. Yeah, because a lot has happened, and it has distorted my original passion for him. And so, but if there's real love there, you can always work on getting it back, I think. I don't think it ever really goes away. But if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If that's where God wants you, then that's where you'll be. We don't really have to say so. That's how I feel.
So you think God and I guess one religious belief determines how long a person is going to be in love, whether they fall in love and how they fall in love?
Yes, I believe that everything that happens, that's God's choice. If I fall in love with you today, I may have feelings, but that was what was meant to be in my path. And we have free will and all that. I believe in that too. But it's all for a reason. We don't always like what the reasons are, though. That's the thing. That's the problem. That's why people don't really want to deal with those concepts of, the Lord, Jesus, whatever.
Can people live without love?
Maybe miserably. I don't really know.
Do you consider that living? It's actually suffering, is it not?
Well, I don't know if you mean like love to another person, but you can have love for your job and nature and yourself and be a happy person. You don't have to have another individual there in order to be a whole person. But it's nice to share the world with somebody. That's what everybody wants. You want to share your experience. You want to be like, yo, I did this today and that today, and what'd you do? And people enjoy to share their experience. It's much more, makes you happy to share something with somebody, bad or good. When it's bad, you have somebody to turn to and lean on. When it's good, you have somebody to rejoice with and celebrate. So, that's what everybody is always searching for. That's like the eternal quest for the perfect person to spend your life with. But you gotta be really, really happy with yourself, or you may find somebody that you click with and everything seems good, but it will never be what it should be unless you're 100% happy with yourself. You can't give yourself to somebody unless you're 100% happy. That's the way I feel. You want to have the perfect thing. Find two people that are confident, not cocky, confident, and knowledgeable about themselves, and that have a love for each other. Now that's gonna be a rock solid marriage or relationship or whatever. That's the way I feel. That's what I work for in my relationships with anybody, you know what I mean? Because love is something, mother, son, sister, brother.
But how does it change you?
How does
Or
what,
does it?
how does what change me?
Love. Or does it?
It doesn't change me. It's just a part of me.
Like, I'm talking about like in terms of how you feel and.
Just whatever feelings are accompanied with that love for whoever, that's how I feel. I mean, but it's just something that's there and that you take part in every day. You take part in love every day.
So being in love, does that give you a sense of purpose?
No. It shouldn't. It should just be a part of your purpose. Whatever your purpose is, that should be a part of it, you know? That's how I feel.
Okay, can you state your name, please?
Abby Wendell.
Abby Wendell, and where are you from?
I am originally from Youngstown, Ohio.
Mind us asking you how old you are?
No, I'm 18.
18. Have you ever been in love?
Yes, I suppose. But the one thing I think about love is that there's so many different forms that maybe I was in love then, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be the same type of love that I have in the future.
So what kind of love did you experience?
What kind of love did I experience? The kind of love that makes you create, that makes you want to open your eyes wider, that makes you want to like go out and experience the world and make the world a better place if you can, instead of holding things inside of you.
So why do you think people have a need to love?
Why do I think people have a need to love?
Or to be loved?
Does anyone else? Any idea?
I think it's partly just security, comfort. I mean, I've been in love before where it was maybe not the best kind of love because it was more of a security, like a comfort, knowing that there's somebody there and knowing that they're going to love you, even if they're not necessarily exactly what you would choose to be in love with. You fall in love with them because you know that they're there and you know that they're going to be there, and it's like a security blanket, like a comfort. But that, I think, can be dangerous because it makes it hard to get out of if there ever is a reason.
I changed my first answer.
Okay.
Yes, I've definitely been in love because I think human beings are born with love. And so that means that from the very second that you are born, that you have love inside of you. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, we're focusing on like a relationship type of love, but that's not the only type of love that's out there. I think you can have love. I saw there were two butterflies dancing above our heads when we first sat down, and I saw Rochelle look up at the butterflies, and that's a form of love. I mean, appreciation for just nature, for two butterflies flirting with each other.
And so what would you say was the difference in terms of love between the kind of love you have for your parent and the kind of love you have for a significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend?
Well, I mean, the obvious is that you get to choose your significant other. There's, you know, millions and millions of people on the earth, and you have the ability to kind of decide what qualities you want to find in a person and who you want to seek out, what your interests are, and the experiences that you want to have in life. Whereas your parents, you're born to them, and if you're lucky enough, then you actually will truly love them like you would want to pick them to be your parents.
So you think people have to grow in order to love each other? Yeah, they can.
Yeah. I think that's an essential part of any kind of love, is being able to grow within yourself and understand yourself more in order to understand what it is you would want to find in another person, or what it is you do appreciate about your parents or your siblings or your friends. You know, I mean, if you're always if you're always down on yourself, and if you're always thinking about the qualities that you don't like in yourself, then you might find yourself in a relationship that would be a dependence relationship because you like that person better than yourself, and you'd rather, spend your time with them and kind of live through them instead of just being okay with yourself and experiencing the world.
So two
through
people
yourself.
that really don't know each other, never seen each other, you think they can grow and learn to love each other, or does it be something that's like spontaneous?
Oh no, I think that
Love from the first sight.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Do you believe in
love
that?
at first sight.
Lust at first sight.
Yeah.
Would you like to add something about love?
I said lust at first sight.
Lust at first sight.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced true love?
Of course. Don't get me started.
Of course.
Point the camera at her.
Someone sure of himself.
What about you? What can you say about love?
Well, I think love has a lot to do with trust. Like we were talking about parental love, family love. I think it's a trust that they're gonna be there and they're gonna support you and not that they'll always give you what you want or the answer you want to hear. Nothing like that, but just a feeling of knowing that they're there and they're not going anywhere.
We had a person, a guy, right? He was complaining about women nowadays. He said women are more materialistic nowadays, and it's very hard to really communicate with them and really like fall in love with them because their target is like, how much can you give me material-wise?
He's talking to the wrong women.
Yeah.
You don't agree with that?
Is it the
No.
women are materialistic or our culture is more materialistic?
Culture is becoming more materialistic,
Yeah.
and of course in women, and it's very hard to find to fall in love nowadays, he says. Do you agree with that? I mean, do you find that, like, I mean, what can you say about from the women's perspective about what?
I think there's a really a lot of tolerance for superficial relationships these days. It's kind of like people can go along and go along and go along with each other as long as there's always something to do. I mean, people can sit down and go out to dinner and then go watch a movie, and they don't have to talk the entire time they're there. They can chew, and then they can just sit there and vegetate, and that they can have like a quote-unquote relationship because they're spending time together, but how much of a real relationship is that? And I think society, I mean, the food industry makes a lot of money there, and so does the film industry, and that's materialistic.
What's your ideal love situation, or you being in love? Are you in love right now?
Well, I said I have love inside of me right now. I'm not in love with one person. No. I would like to find.
Can you seek out love? I mean, is this something that you search for? It's just spontaneous, is it not? Do you think?
I think it's spontaneous. Not necessarily spontaneous, because I think that you have to reach a certain stage in your own life where you're confident in yourself and where you don't necessarily need someone else to fill in the gaps, to fulfill.
Yeah, I think that if you are searching for love, like if you're making that your goal, like I need to find somebody to love, chances are you're going to end up settling for something that isn't really what you wanted in the first place because it fits, and you're like, well, I can love this can love me, so I guess I'll take it, and then you're not going to be satisfied.
Because it's not natural, right?
Right.
It's not.
It shouldn't be something that you're striving for or playing like a game. It's like something that you have to win.
And it's
like
turned into a game now.
yeah.
It is a game.
Well, like the man you talked to who said that women nowadays are more materialistic.
Right. It's like he said that they primarily look into his pocket, how much money he's got, what kind of car he drives, that kind of thing. He was really complaining, and it's not the first time I ever heard the man say that. And he's like about what, 17, 18?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I could say the same thing. I could say the same thing about men. Maybe not money-wise, like looking at how much money I have, but as far as being materialistic or shallow, because I think a lot of people are materialistic or shallow. And if you're looking for women, then you're going to find materialistic women. If you're looking for men, you're going to find materialistic men, because a lot of people are, and a lot of people don't want to look closer and look beyond what you're wearing and what you drive and what you look like and the people you know. A lot of
what
people,
your status is, right?
yeah, a lot of people just don't want to, like you said, on a date, you know, a lot of people don't want to talk to each other and get to know each other. They just want to go spend time with each other, be seen, see a movie, you know. And then if you're looking for just somebody to go do that with, then maybe you are going to find the wrong people.
I'm Steve Cohn. I'm the next host for My Love, project about the nature of love. I'm 33 years old. I was born in eastern Pennsylvania, and I think I have about as much experience with the ups and downs of love as anybody that I've ever known. So hopefully I'm qualified to suss out some good answers from people. So tell us about yourself.
My name is Jacqueline. I'm from New York.
And how old are you, Jacqueline?
21.
Okay. So what is it that you think love is? Can you kind of define what you think it is?
I'm not sure. Sometimes I think it's a social construct of just a way to get people to partner up, pair up. As far as true love's concerned, I don't know if I believe in it. I think that in most intimate, long-term relationships, one person cheats. Seems almost always. So I think it's human nature, maybe.
Right.
I don't know, just not to have one partner.
Right. Do you think that cheating somehow represents a break in a relationship where you can say that that person who cheats doesn't love the other person?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's natural to have a strong emotional connection with somebody and a partnering, but as far as intimacy, sometimes there's things that are missing that a person needs to find for themselves to fulfill their individual desires or needs, and
Right.
and it's not always the same for both people involved.
And do you think, so when you say that you don't think true love exists, what you're saying is that kind of social construct that people have, that idea of two people meet and they spend the rest of their lives together forever, exclusively, et cetera, et cetera. You don't, so you sort of take, I don't want to say more of a cynical view on it, but what would you say about that?
I guess like the idealistic idea of love, like it's just true love isn't. I mean, maybe it exists and I just don't know because I haven't experienced it, but from even the people surrounding me that think they've experienced, I tend to disagree, but I'm not going to tell them that. But,
Right.
yeah.
Do you find yourself pretty guarded, or are you somebody who kind of protects yourself against feeling those feelings, those strong feelings that people call love, or do you feel that do you find that you're able to fall in love fairly easily?
I think it's a case-by-case situation, but for the most part, I think naturally it just doesn't happen for me so easily, so maybe I'm subconsciously guarded and I'm unaware of it. But, I mean, I'm not inclined either way I'm not eager to feel either way about it, just what happens.
And do you think that can love be a purely platonic thing? Does it have to be a physical thing? Is physicality some indication of love, or how do you feel that?
I mean, I think both ways. You can have the physical aspect without the love, or the love without the physical aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have the love without the physical aspect, sometimes it brings up other problems, like one person may feel rejected in a sense physically, so they might feel that the other person doesn't love them as much. And like, I think that it's just as important to show physical affection to, I guess, to back up your love for the other person.
How does love relate to marriage, and how do you think love relates to control, or to some sort of lowest common denominator that people share? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess love sometimes is something that's constructed for the sense of a fear of being alone, or looking for a life partner. I prefer the term life partner than marriage, you know, like just somebody to like be your buddy for adventures and I don't know, to help people get through that and all the problems that life has. But as far as, I don't know, marriage, like I think less and less people are going to get married. I mean, the benefits would be governmental. insurance, other terms like that. Like it's almost like a partnering contract. It's hard for people to stick to that unless there is that emotional bond, and that emotional bond, it's kind of like a little cycle. It comes from the original reasons.
It sounds like what you're saying, I don't want to be putting words in your mouth, I'm asking you questions, but it sounds like what you're saying is that there's a certain kind of love that's a bond, that's marriage without there needing to be that contract. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not the pure love that everybody thinks of, but yeah, some sort of emotional attachment and chemistry between people.
Right. So we're here with
My name is Lior.
Lior. And how old are you?
27 last week.
And so tell me, what do you think the difference between love and friendship is?
I think it's a different level of commitment. I think there's only room in your heart for one true love, but there's room for as many friends as you can have.
When would you know, like, say, with someone that you were falling in love with or in love with, how would you know that it was more than just friendship? When would you know that you had reached that point?
I think there's an old saying from the 60s, when their needs become more important than your own. I think that's what it is.
Interesting. And how would you know when love is ended? Or do you believe that love does end? I mean, I guess that's another
I think
question.
you could fall in and out of love. I think you would just feel an incredible sense of loss if you had love and then it left.
Do you think? Well, let me ask you this: Are you from New York? Did you grow up here, or where did you grow up?
Yeah, in the suburbs in New Jersey.
Oh, you did. And how has your view of love changed over time? I mean, do you feel that it's changed from the time that you were a kid to the way that you think about it today?
Yeah, I've become less idealistic, I think. I think there was a time when I believed in love at first sight, but I don't believe in that anymore. I think that you create love almost, that it's a process, and that it takes a lot of perseverance and forethought.
Right. Do you, what is it that you think now that falling in love is, and what is it for you personally? What is it that you find attracts you, and at first, let's say?
Well, at first it's very physical, to be honest, but I think the older I get, I think of love more in practical terms.
Right.
And I think in love and marriage, to me, at this point, they come closer and closer. And,
right.
And, at this age, I think they merge. So when I look for love, I look for the qualities that I need in a life partner and a wife.
So what you're getting at is that you see love as something pretty serious, where it could lead to marriage. Could you see yourself loving somebody at this stage in your life where you didn't see marriage as a possibility?
Yeah, I think I could. It wouldn't be ideal, obviously, but I would try to steer away from that. But I know that ultimately I'm a passionate, emotional person. So, even though I try to be rational in my life, there's room for error and that kind of mistake, and I think that would be a mistake. So.
Right. Do you, on a little bit of a different topic, how do you see? You talked about love, you talked about marriage. How do you see children fitting in with love? Not just in terms of having children, but the way that you love your children. How does that differ? How does that relate?
Well, I think your love for your children grows directly out of the love for your spouse. I think the way I picture it is that when I have children, then it'll just be another reason to love the person I'm with. It'll create more love, not only the extra love now that will be between me and my children, but it'll increase the love between my spouse and I too. Right. So it's positive sum. I don't think that it comes out of one end or the other.
So tell us about yourself, your name, age, whatever you want to say.
My name's Sarah. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Pennsylvania.
What part of Pennsylvania?
Westchester.
Okay, sure. I'm from Reading.
Oh,
Just saying.
okay. So you know where I'm from.
Yep, exactly. Of course I do. So, what's the difference between love in Eastern PA and love in the big city?
It's faster in the city, I guess.
Is it over faster, or does it? What do you mean? Just
It all happens faster. It starts faster, it's over faster.
interesting. And what is it? What do you think love is?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Do you think?
Have you been in love?
Yeah.
No. No.
Never been in love.
No. I thought I was, but no.
So how do you know that looking back now, like what you thought at the time was love wasn't really love? What is it? What in reflection has changed in your mind?
Because I guess I would still feel it. If I was honestly in love, I would still feel it or care.
Does the idea of really loving somebody, does it make you nervous? Is the idea? I mean, what do you think about it, like in the future?
It definitely makes me nervous, and I don't know if it's something I'm looking forward to.
I can understand that. What do you see as the burden of love?
Well, it never ends well, right? I mean, I guess if it's true love, it doesn't end, and that's good. But if it's not true love, then it doesn't end well. No, thank you.
Right. And where would you say, I mean, thinking ahead or thinking of your own life, where's the point where you think that you can recognize that you're feeling something that's more than just extreme like? Where does it start? What's that moment?
Well, it's after extreme life, I would assume. Extreme like, I would assume. It's when you make the decision to keep extremely liking someone when you have the chance not to.
Right.
And you actually make the decision to settle in and go for it.
But think about physical love, for example, right? How is it that a person can separate in their own mind the difference between what's just lust and what's love?
Well, if it's just lust, then there's no emotion attached to it, really. It's just physical and visceral and carnal. But love is obviously more tender and more caring and more cerebral and less visceral.
And do you think, now thinking about living in New York, how do you see love in New York? Do you see it as more fundamentally carnal or visceral or whatever you will? Or do you see just the same kinds of things here that you would see anywhere else? I mean, what are the differences there?
Well, there's so many different kinds of people in New York, and there's so many different kinds of opportunities that I think you can get tricked easier into thinking that you actually love someone. Or, like I said earlier, it just moves faster and quicker